Hi, my name is Jasmine, aka Black Girl Absolute. Today I did some progress painting on this painting behind me called Roots here. But while I'm working on the painting, I'm also going to be talking a bit about when you can call yourself an artist. So this is a very important video for new artists or artists who feel a little bit fearful about claiming that title. So yeah, let's jump right in. This is a question that a lot of artists will respond to differently. For me, it took a long time before I comfortably called myself an artist, and even longer before I could call myself one in front of other people. Looking back, the criteria I measured myself against before I determined that I earned the title of an artist was far too high. One of the things I struggled with most was this ever-shifting goalpost between being an artist and doing art. This draws an arbitrary line between what we do creatively and who we are as creative individuals. This by default downplays the former as lesser than the latter. A comparison I've seen over the years is the difference between a professional chef and someone who just cooks their own meals at home. It seems to denote a lack of passion, drive, and dedication in those who do, and an overflowing of these traits in those who are. Well, the line that has been drawn here is, again, arbitrary. Unlike many other titles, artists do not have to have a certain level of training, education, recognition, or access to be considered who we are. You can be a full-time or a part-time artist, an amateur or a professional artist, a self-taught or a traditionally trained artist, a well-established artist, or one who is just up and coming. Because of the nature of art as a practice, it really doesn't lessen the title to have more people bearing it, no matter how many gatekeepers try to tell you it will. All it means is that the world will be covered in even more art, which I consider a win-win scenario. So when talking about skill, this might be a bit controversial, especially when we start talking about things like artistic standards. Skill is an important aspect of the artistic and creative process, and honing your skills come from dedication, which can mean practicing on a regular basis or taking classes to expand your range of abilities. But while refining these skills can help you to become a better artist, skill alone is not a marker of whether or not one can call themselves an artist. Artists exist at all ranges of experiences. I was no less an artist 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or last year than I am now. I am more skilled now than I was at any of those points, that is true, but that doesn't negate all of the effort I put forward into my creative practice beforehand. If it wasn't for that time that I dedicated into my artistic practice, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I'm currently capable of. In addition, eventually my skills will become even more refined in the years to come, which, again, won't negate where I am right now in my artistic journey. The same can also be said for many artists currently practicing, such as yourself. Now, what this doesn't mean is that your art will be perfect or well received right out of the gate if you haven't dedicated any time to practice or refine your skills. The overall goodness of your art usually correlates to the work that you've put into it and how well you and your medium mesh. Unless you are lucky enough to have a natural knack for putting together something that is aesthetically pleasing, it may take some time for you to get a feel for what you're doing. However, what it does mean is that the sooner you allow yourself to embrace this title, the more motivated you will be to really get your hands dirty and to start to learn how to better control your preferred medium. This last point is a little personal, as this is something that I've debated with many people whose art I've loved over the years. It is also the main roadblock that kept me from claiming the title of being an artist for far too long in my artistic journey. Out of the many arguments that I have heard against people feeling comfortable with the title, the most popular is also the most disappointing. What that person does is art. I can't call what I do art. What is so disappointing about this argument is not only the clear devaluation of one's own work and artistic judgment, but also using how your work measures up against someone else's work as a measure of your own success. What this always ends up doing is fostering a negative relationship with your creative process, as you are constantly expecting your art to be just like someone else's. And when it turns out to be yours, like it was always going to be, you become even more frustrated with it. So how can you give yourself the same title as your favorite artist? You simply give yourself the title, while staying true to your individual abilities and style. No one is saying that if your favorite artist is an internationally acclaimed gouache painter that you, as someone who doesn't have those accolades or experience, must lie and claim those titles, because that would be pretty silly. However, if you and your favorite artist create art, You can both safely claim the title of an artist, no matter how much more experience they may have over you at this point in time. If you want to strengthen your abilities for your own satisfaction, go for it. But don't strengthen them because they will make you more like someone else. Do it for your own personal artistic growth. Instead of trying to closely copy someone else's style, try to cultivate your own style and gain influence from multiple different artists. This will keep what you make true to you, which will make your work both easily recognizable and genuine. And the best art, above all else, is genuine. Some may take what I have said today to say, well, you just believe anyone could be an artist. And yeah, you'd be totally right. The gate is wide open. I would say come on in, but COVID is currently happening. After COVID is over, we can have just the biggest art party in history. I will cook food for everyone, I promise. But yeah, I do believe anyone could be an artist. Art is one of the most accessible practices out there, as there's an endless number of ways to make art. Hell, even other species can make art, which I found out that crow art is a thing, also elephant art. Go look those up if you aren't familiar with those. But the end result of this video was to have even more loud and proud artists out there as a result. But not everyone will be dedicated to creating a regular creative practice, to keep loving making art even when it challenges them, or to foster a non-self-judgmental relationship with themselves and what they create. So if you do all those things and still haven't claimed the title of an artist, ask yourself why not. As we often say in the art world, we are our own worst critics. Thank you all, I love you, and as always, you are enough. Take care. Hi y'all, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like this down below and to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future. Catch you later.